Hello and welcome to another episode of Parliamentary Conversations in the Commonwealth, a podcast from the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, better known as the CPA. The CPA promotes knowledge of the constitutional, legislative, economic, social and cultural aspects of parliamentary democracy and supports parliamentarians from across the Commonwealth in strengthening their democracies, promoting the rule of law and safeguarding human rights. In this episode, we sit down with Shrimati Nayana Motamma, the youngest woman in Karnataka Legislative Assembly, legal professional and trailblazing Dalit woman redefining Indian politics. From high-powered boardrooms to grassroots political campaigns, her story reflects courage, identity and generational legacy. We explore how she navigates complex intersections of caste, gender and power, challenging expectations and reshaping women's leadership in India. Shrimati Motamma won her seat in the same constituency in 2023 that Indira Gandhi won a by-election almost 50 years ago in 1978. This conversation is a deep dive into intersectional leadership, inclusive representation, and the evolving idea of Indian democracy. Shrimati Motamma, welcome to our podcast and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mira. Thank you so much.
So we're going to begin by talking about your journey into politics and the influence of your mother. And I wanted to know what made you make that transition from law to politics?
What is it that made me jump? I always knew I wanted to get into politics. I think law was just sort of a background I thought was important to do politics. And I think I wanted to have a legal career for some time. Sort of set a foundation for myself as a lawyer and then get into politics. I think it was just a matter of time. I would have wanted to plunge into politics earlier, at a much younger age, but that did not happen. I wasn't really encouraged at home, even though I come from a political family. My mother's is a veteran politician, and but nobody encouraged me at home to do this. They wanted me to continue to be a lawyer. And I think I knew at a very young age, really, really young, I think, because I think one is I saw my mother. I think that was a great influence on me in the environment that I grew up in. I think just being able to influence the society. My parents wanted me to do civil services. Originally, they would have wanted me to be what in India is considered Indian Administrative Service. They wanted me to give write those competitive exams, and they thought that I am a better fitment to that. But that when I saw my mother very closely, I just saw how she could influence people's lives. And when I saw that, I felt that was going to be extremely satisfying for me too. So when you are a politician, you will touch many lives in different things like health, be it the health sector or the education sector, infrastructure. I think, even disputes, legal disputes, because, in India, back in India, people come to you even for police-related matters to you. Schooling, I don't know, everything. I think everything under the sun. So, that's the kind of influence that you could have when you're a politician in India. And so which I felt would be sort of satisfying to the soul for me. So I knew at a very young age that I wanted to do this.
Yeah, that's lovely. So it's a very rewarding career for you.
Yes, it has been. I got elected only just about 2 years ago, but this is everything that I'd imagined.
Well, I'm very happy for you. And that's lovely to hear that you've created your own path as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely. So I wanted to move on to talk to you a bit more about your identity as an Indian woman in politics, and what this means to you and sort of navigating the complexity of owning multiple identities. So I have a couple of questions. What does your identity mean to you? And did it help in any way with your voter connect and things like that?
So I say this with a lot of conviction that I am not a conventional politician. That's because I mean, politicians are viewed in a particular manner. I'm not sure world over, but probably in the Indian context, I think politicians are viewed in a particular manner. They need to dress in a particular manner. They need to speak in a particular manner. They need to interact with public in a particular manner. But I think I did it a little differently. I mean, I didn't use the conventional methods because, I mean, that would mean, trying to change myself, like how I presented myself. Like I'm elected from a rural setup. So I went there, saying that I have all of this educational background, and I have a bit of urbanness in me, because I've been educated outside, and I mean I've lived a significant part of my life in the cities, and then I went back to where I originally came from. So I told them that this is what I am. I have a little bit of a modern outlook, but that would be a great way of connecting, because I would be able to weave the two things together. The rural setup, and make people there a little more aspirational because of the modernness that I would bring in to the system. So, I mean, it was very challenging. So, but I identified the groups that I wanted to work with. So, I identified that I should work with youth and I should work with women, because the connectivity would have been easier with them. So, the youth would identify me as an aspirational class, as somebody who's educated, someone who's lived outside, and probably will bring new set of ideas into the constituency, and which is what I did with the women too. As in, I mean, and I kept, sort of hitting the nail about the fact that I do not need to be a traditional or a conservative politician in that sense, and it's fine to be this, and just be yourself and still be able to do public service. I mean, and people need to believe that I am this this person who looks like this, speaks like this, who comes from this educational background, can still work in a rural setup, and I mean they will be able to deliver. So I think that was one. But obviously, as the number of women who come into politics, I mean, especially at the assembly level, which is the state level, and at the center, I think the numbers are still very small. I mean, compared, like say for example, in Karnataka, the state that I come from, there are about 224 assembly constituencies, and there are only just about 11 women. So that's very poor, isn't it? It's not even 10%. And so, I mean, it's a little better at the center. I think there are about 74 parliamentarians, women parliamentarians, out of a house of 545. So, which is a little above, I think, close to about 15%, I think, if I have my maths right. But which is far better than what we have at the state. So, it's still challenging to be a woman and to be a woman politician, because the acceptability, there's always a fear of acceptability, will they? And then, I mean, you need to have a lot of rigor to be in this. You need to be really, made of steel, I think, to be able to face politics, because it comes with a lot of public scrutiny, criticism, being in public space. It is very difficult, and especially for women. And you need to have all the resources. I mean, you need to have money. You need to have, family support. You need all of that going for you, as a woman politician. So it was a bit challenging, but I think I was always mentally prepared for it. I knew that it was, so I did not go, or I did not enter politics not knowing these things. I knew that, this is what it is. Yes, yeah. Yes. So I think, that identity, the identity that I was a woman and what challenges that I may face, I think I anticipated those.
That's really good. I think it's difficult because there's always those expectations for you to be a conservative woman, especially in politics. But your proof and your evidence that, two things can coexist, and I think you're handling it with grace, which is great.
I just hope, this is not like a one-off thing. I'm not a one-off person. I hope that, this is this. Yeah, I think you should normalize these things, and which is what I'm trying to do. But for that, I need to have continued success. I mean, this cannot be just a one-off success. I mean, so I'll have to keep proving myself. Only once I prove myself can I set the path for the others, or, can I become an example? I think it's just too early, to say that.
With your journey, I think you will begin to inspire a lot of women into Indian politics. I
hope to.
I'm sure you will. So that sort of leads me on to my next question. So I read in an article with the Indian Express that you don't necessarily believe in Ambedkarism. So I wanted to know sort of what informs your belief systems and your opinions and the way that you think, especially when it comes to politics, but in general as well.
I meant to say that, even there is nothing known as set methodologies. I mean, everybody needs to have their own interpretation of it. And I think the simplest interpretation of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, who's the father of our constitution, was that he fought for equality. I mean, I think that if we understand that premise very well, I think I think that's the easy way of making everybody understand that. But I think people are still trying to revolutionize things. I think he's already revolutionized the entire the movement. I think we need to use it properly. And somewhere I feel that I think the way it's been used, I mean, I don't think it's suitable for everyone. So I don't think in a particular manner like them. So exactly. It's not. It shouldn't be in a box. That's what I firmly believe. It shouldn't be in a box, and I think you should have lucidity to the entire thought process. I mean, just the fact that you need to become unequal with, the casteism that has happened. I think his entire movement was about that. His entire belief was about that. And how we achieve it, there is no set methodology to achieve it. I think each one to their own. But at the end of the day, you need to get there, and you need to start thinking like that. And once you believe that you've gotten there, you cannot go back and, start trying to revolutionize something that's already been done. You need to go forward. My thinking is about moving forward. I mean, you need to, I see, because there's this saying, that water needs to keep flowing, right? Otherwise, it becomes dirty. I mean, if you leave the water to where it is, I mean, it just, it starts collecting all sorts of, that's how your thought process should be too. I mean, so it needs to be a journey. It needs to keep, yeah, exactly. So that's my thought.
I really like that. Yeah, you create your own path, and you have to keep going and keep growing, keep learning.
Exactly. I mean, so you cannot keep only thinking about what happened 75 years ago or what happened thousands of years ago. You need to keep, developing that, going forward, moving forward, taking the community forward. You cannot think backwards. You need to think forward. So that's my entire thought process.
Completely agree with that. I think, you said some really interesting and valuable things. So thank you so much. But that sort of leads me to my next question is, how do you see Indian women reshaping politics in the coming years and breaking the political glass ceiling?
I think to some extent we have already broken the glass ceiling. Why is that? Is because if you see the political process with legislatures below, so we have a system which starts at the what we call I don't know, the local bodies, we call it as gram panchayats in India, and then there is another panchayat level. The entire panchayat level before the legislatures have reservation for 50% women. Most of the states have it. So 33% to about 50%. Quite a few states have already adopted 50%. So representing all these local bodies, so 50% are women. So you've already broken the glass ceiling. So it is mandatory that a woman contests from that seat. So women are already participating in the political process at that level, which is a huge level, right? So that part, the glass ceiling has been broken. And I think it's been now, 25 years and odd, I think. So, I mean, that's a long time. I mean, to have an established political pattern. But coming to the state legislature and, the central government itself, I think women participation is much lesser because we do not have, the mandatory women's reservation. But I think it is soon going to get come into force. I think by the next, general elections, I anticipate that that's going to come in because the laws have been passed. It only needs there are certain preconditions for it to become effective, which is the census which needs to happen, and then it automatically gets done. There will be an entire delimitation of the constituencies. They will identify which are the constituency which have more women population. So automatically they will get reserved for women, for which the census needs to happen in India. So after that, that's going to come, into effect. So I think, so we will have, to that extent, we need to break the glass ceiling. But that's not to say India is far behind any other developed countries, because we've had many women chief ministers heading states. We've also had a woman prime minister. So, in that sense, we have broken the... I think the country is on track. But I think a little more representation in the state legislature and in the central legislature is going to help. Definitely going to help.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think what you said, sort of any country, you will find that, there is a need for more representation, and you can be doing a lot, but there's always room to improve ultimately. Yes. And that's with any place.
I think that's what, I think we will get there soon.
Yeah, that's great. Very positive. So going back to something you said earlier, you were very aware of public scrutiny and gendered expectations. And I wanted to mention a 2020 report by Amnesty International, where it was noted that 1 in every 7 tweets that mentioned women politicians in India was problematic or abusive. And out of those tweets, 1 in every 5 were sexist or misogynistic. It also claimed that women politicians belonging to marginalized castes received 59% more caste-based abuse compared to women from other castes. And women politicians from parties other than BJP also experienced more abuse. So on this, given your experiences with social media, particularly the criticism that you face regarding your attire and your personal life, it seems that women in politics are often subjected to a level of scrutiny that male politicians are perhaps not. So I wanted to know, how do you view this dynamic, and can you share with us your experiences?
Yeah, so when I think one of my first few answers to you was about not being a conventional politician, and that's the point I was always driving at. So which gets connected to this, the fact that I anticipated public scrutiny, because I pretty much lived my life quite openly. So of course, there's a clear demarcation between the personal life and the political life, but I do not completely hide my private life. In the sense that I'm on social media, I do share the space, with people about, I have a daughter, so, probably that something that I do with her, or something that I do with my friends, or something that, we've gone on a holiday together, or we're celebrating something. I think I keep it out there, put it out there, to show people that I'm as normal as you all. Yeah. So people go for marriage functions, they do, birthday celebrations, they could be partying with their friends. So I am just like y'all. I mean, so what happens is, if you do the traditional way of, or the conventional way of doing politics, most politicians, at least back home, they do not display their private life, because that'll scrutinize so much more, get scrutinized so much more, and people may not say nice things. So I face that, because so today, if I'm doing this podcast, I'm wearing a sari, which is expected out of a politician. I mean, if I had come here with pants and shirt, probably that's not acceptable. I mean, so that's the way. I mean, yes, there are certain things, like if I go to the court, if I'm if I'm a lawyer and I'm meeting clients, then I would wear clothes that are appropriate for that. Or if you're a doctor, if you're a teacher, so professionalism is one thing, but your private life, I mean, it's okay to wear pants. It's okay, to party with your friends. It's okay to dance. It's okay to sing. It's just that. I mean, I'm as common as you are, except that I have a higher level of responsibility, because I am responsible for the public, for their public life. I understand that. But if I'm leading my life in a private life in a responsible manner, I think that's fine too. I think it needs to be accepted, and they shouldn't. I mean, why don't you think a politician would go watch a movie?
Exactly.
I'm sure they would. Yeah,
as well as being
yeah. So I think people need to accept that, and I think so. Which is what I was trying to tell you, that I'm trying to normalize these things. So which is why, I have my private life in the open. And so I anticipated that when I went into, face elections. So there were all these pictures. And of course, they're public pictures. I've not hidden them. So they were all put out one day before the voting, and to say that, I am this sort of a person, and I'm not
to try and discredit.
Discredit my entire. What do you say? Just me being a politician, discredit the fact that she cannot be a good one because I have this sort of private life. So since I knew this, I kept hammering this point to everybody, everywhere that I went to, and which is why I had it out in the open, to say that I there's nothing for me to hide, and I think you need to accept that a politician could be all of these things. I think so, which I managed to do. So me working on the ground level for so many years and kept hammering this point that it's fine to be this, I think went down very well with the people. But even till today, I still face criticism. I mean, I have a private Instagram account, and I see that suddenly my followership has gone up there like a lot, and I'm not sure why, but it's been, I mean, compared to I have a public Insta account, which documents my entire political journey, the work that I'm doing, and then there's an Instagram account where I document my private journey, what I'm doing in my private life. So I get so much of criticism there too. I mean, I just could see some of the comments. I mean, but for my luck, or for the fact that I'm doing this, 80% of the comments are positive, and it's only about 20% which is negative. So, which is a great thing. So, which means that people have reach that level of acceptance. I'm not saying that I've been able to change the world, but I think if I'm able to change even 1%, I think that's a great thing. So it's fine. I mean, like I said, I mean, when I came into politics, I knew all of this, that as a woman, I'm going to face much more criticism, much more scrutiny. So I had to prepare myself. So you need to prepare yourself. When you get into this, you cannot come in here and be wide-eyed and not know what you're doing. And sometimes the jibes do get a bit, sometimes, it leaves that
much.
it leaves that a little bit of a tingling sensation. But then, when you see the positive comments, that sort of like sort of overcomes the these drives, so which is fine, I think.
I think it's very empowering that you have both accounts as well to showcase that, you're not just reduced to your political identity,
Yes.
but you have your own personal life too. You have your family, you have, your friends and all these different things that you do. And I think you're right. It's about exposing, society to the fact that dual things can coexist and you can have these two different identities, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that, you're any less of a politician or you're any, worse at doing your job. You're just as capable, so I think
I think you put across the point much better than I did.
Oh no, you did a great job. You did. And even though I'm not a politician, I do relate. When my family and we go to India, my mum always says to me, don't wear Western attire, wear a kurta or whatever it is to blend in, because we still get comments like that too. And, we're not under as much public scrutiny as you are at all. So I can definitely relate in some respects. Do you have any advice for, I guess, navigating the digital platforms and, some of the negative comments? I think it's great that you're not receiving as much anymore. It's showing that people are evolving. But, going forward, I think some people might struggle more with those types of comments. And
I would think that, that space is so individual, isn't it? I mean, I think especially if you are a woman who's getting into politics, I think you need to be completely aware. Yes. I think you need to go in being aware that this is the career that I'm choosing, and I'm going to face a lot of public scrutiny. I need to be ready for that. And what is it that you want to show to the world? I think it's very important, but but if you're young and if you are, I think it's important to break the glass ceiling, right? I think that's what all of us are trying to do. And the more people start doing this, the more we will be able to normalize things, and especially for women. So I think the more the numbers, the better it would be. So I think that would be moving forward, I think. So, but it's just that I think when women get into politics, it's just not about social media. Social media is an aspect of it. I think you need to be very serious about what you want to do. I mean, what is it? Why are you getting into politics? What is your goal? What is it that you're trying to achieve? I'm not saying that, because I always think about myself, and I question the fact that I hope I'm not a one-time wonder. Because I need to, keep winning elections to prove all these points, right? So the first was crossing the hurdle about winning this election. So I have I've crossed the first hurdle, but there will be many more. So which means that I am aware that I'm going to face many more hurdles. So women getting into politics should be aware that, you need to have a goalpost, and you need to ensure that, what are the steps that you're going to take to achieve that goalpost. I mean, that's where I feel, in the Indian context, when I meet women, I think many in politics, they're not aware of the goalpost. I think that's,
you need that awareness to go forward and
yes,
aware of the obstacles.
Yes. So that's when you will know each one of it, and social media being one of that.
Exactly. Yes, there's many of them. What would you say is your key message to the future generation of women leaders in India? What would you say to them?
I think most women leaders should not think that we have limitations. I think there is a certain belief that women have limitations, because when women, I read this very interesting thing. I'm not sure where, but when women are loud and aggressive as politicians, so you tend to get undermined, And so when women are softer, that it's believed that should be their nature. So so these are limitations and boundaries that sometimes we put on ourselves and the society puts on us. So you need to, so women leaders should not think that these are limitations. We shouldn't have these limitations, first of all. I mean, if a man is, if he speaks loudly and if he's aggressive, that's acceptable, in the general context. So you need to break those barriers. And you should not think that these are, that it shouldn't be a barrier. You should believe that it's okay to be loud. It's okay to be aggressive. It is okay to make your point. It's okay to be all of that, just as much as a man. You have, and there's no particular way to do it. You do it in your own way. And do not believe that just because you're a woman, you have to do it in a particular manner. That's my message, I think.
It's individual and personal to you how you decide to go forward with that. And we're just as capable as doing the same things as men. I think it's what you said about normalizing it, though, isn't it? And breaking free of that mold. Thank you so much. I guess I want to open up the platform to you to see whether you wanted to speak about anything else, if there's anything else you wanted to share with our membership. Anything that's important to you, or key initiatives that you're particularly interested in driving forward as a politician, anything you like, really.
I mean, for me, this is like my first time here with the Commonwealth, and I think it's quite exciting because my mother mentioned that she came here. She participated in one of the Commonwealth, the conference. I think about 25 years ago in Canada. So I think life comes as sort of a full circle, I guess. That's one. I mean, so I'm quite excited to meet, women leaders from, other countries and, to hear their thoughts. And I think I think it'll be refreshing. And I think there will be lessons that I will take home with this. But as far as, I'm concerned, I mean, I hope to have a very long journey in politics, and I hope to have an impactful one. I mean, I don't know whether sometimes I don't know whether I want to be perceived as as a woman politician. Sometimes you just want to be a politician. Yeah. So because that becomes mainstream,
and it's a label, isn't it? It's not necessarily relevant, and you just want to be recognized as a credible politician in your own right.
Yeah, and then I think I mean there are. There have been a lot of incredible journey that a lot of politicians have done in India, and I mean I think to sort of bring the status of women to bring it up to the level of men in many ways. Creation of say self-help groups for women, especially in the rural setup. And now we have, with our government, I think we've done some really good things for women in terms of mobility. We've given they travel free in buses, and that's a huge thing in India, because that's a lot of saving for women, and that increases their mobility. They're not dependent on their spouses to travel. So and that was one. And to increase their economic welfare, the government is also providing them a small sort of income every month, and that helps a lot of women in the rural areas, and in the semi-urban areas too. That helps take care of some of their expenses, small expenses, but which is a lot in the Indian context. I mean, I would like to work in spaces where, especially things to do with, especially for me, education is very important. And then at the end of the day, after education, I want people to get jobs and, to be the driving force, to ensure that people from the rural setup, come into the urban setup. I mean, I think that's something, at least in my constituency, it's been very difficult to achieve. So I see a lot of people who are educated but unemployed, and not taking up courses which are job oriented courses. I think people are not going in that right direction. So I'm trying to drive the path, to do those things. And then and the workforce for women, that definitely needs to increase. But where women are working right now are at very low wage, or low earning jobs. I mean, they work in my constituency, many women work in the coffee estates, in the plantation setup. So, and they, yeah, they're big earners there. But you need women to get educated. And one of the big challenges that India faces is that the girls do well till a particular earn a degree, and then after that, don't go into doing jobs. So that's when the inequality. Yeah, the inequality starts, right? So the man becomes always the earning member, and yeah, and so in that sense, you don't really have an equal say sometimes when when you're not the breadwinner, or you're not contributing to the family in terms of income. So sometimes you become the lesser person because of that. So that needs to change in the Indian context. I think that's something that I don't know how I will be able to work on it, but that's something that I would really want to think. Yeah, I would like to really think about it, as in, how could you, how is it that you could improve a woman's life, with that? I mean, because that's having like a broader impact than, just being a woman politician, just trying to bring up, because as you go towards countries who are economically well developed, you'd see that quite a few women work. The women workforce is higher, but in India, it still needs to get there. Yeah. So then, I get these cliched questions about, there are the number of women politicians are the less. But if you look at, I keep telling people that, people on top in a corporate job, or in a bank, or in a hospital, or anywhere, how many women really had those things?
The top positions.
Yeah. So these are concerns. These are concerns, I think, world over. And I think
They are, yes.
Yes. So it is not just about politics. It's not
It's
just
a general global issue.
Yeah, right. But yeah, India is not too far behind, but I think we will. I think things do are optimistic there. But it needs to improve to a large extent, where the women workforce, the number of women workforce need to increase.
And they're able to also equally reach those senior positions, like you mentioned, and not just stay in junior positions once they do enter the workforce. And that's the difficulty, because, you go to university, you get a degree, and then, you're expected to go back to family life and then have your own family, instead of, then pursuing that, because then why did you get your degree? You should be able to use it.
That's right. Yeah. So I think these are two things that I would really, really work on. I think education, to ensure that you get jobs, you get employed, and two is women. Women as workforce. I think that's something that I would really like to, probably if I what do I say? Establish myself politically much more and get more opportunities to work on this, I will definitely like to work on that.
I think you've picked up two really important issues, and like you said, it goes beyond politics. It's a global thing. But yeah, no, I think that's amazing, and thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Myrtle. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and I wish you the best of luck with your political career. I'm sure that you're going to achieve great things. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Parliamentary Conversations in the Commonwealth. If you liked what you heard, then don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favourite listening platforms to stay up to date with our latest episodes. To find out more about the work of the CPA, please visit our website at www.cpahq.org or follow the links in the podcast description.